A really simple strategy that will completely transform the way you sell services in 2022 and beyond. Yeah, hey everybody, this is Ian from Mindful Marketplace, and welcome back to A Tiny Revolution. This is our brand new publishing platform for authors and artists, teachers and trainers, really anybody who wants to make a big impact in 2022 through tiny products and platforms. So one of the questions that I've been getting fairly frequently in our little community is with respect to selling services. So I have a bunch of people, about 50, who are building online agencies, web consultancies, and digital media brands this year, and are selling services to the public. So, or to very specific niches within the, their sort of professional audience. So one of the real challenges that people have, and I think we can all empathize with this, is kind of coming up with your first offer and then tailoring it to the specific audience that you're trying to appeal to and attract. And what I would argue instead is that there's a very simple antidote to that approach, and it's called productizing your business. Now, there have certainly been many people who have written about this in a more skillful way than I, but I'm going to give you some examples about using the productized business model, including reading a couple definitions that I've saved over the years. So one that I really like, and again, I don't know who wrote this. I think this was in Investopedia, the website, and this is like years ago now at this point. I have this from 2018. A productized services business is one that sells and packages up a service as if it were a product, with a standardized list of features, a fixed price, and is delivered by a set date, right? So if you think about that statement, that's a really good definition of how you can sell a service as if it were a product and minimize all of the objections, you really get people to self-identify whether your service is for them or not by dint of its productized nature, right? So again, you're selling a service with a standardized list of features, a fixed price, and delivered by a set date. So sells and packages services as if it were a product, standardized features, fixed price, and delivery date. Let's look at some examples of what that would look like. And again, I'm going to read you another little excerpt that I have in another little notepad here that I think is really useful, right? So to recap, what it means to productize your business is you sell a service, but it's packaged and the delivery is so well systematized that the company can eventually run without you. So this is really ideal for those of you who are thinking about not wanting to trade your time for dollars, right? And you want a sort of a protocol that you can actually package and publish that you can outsource to others. So I'm going to cover more about this in a minute, but you can actually get help to it's much easier to hire and outsource, these sorts of services to others when it's really well defined. The service is so defined that clients are actually appearing almost to order a product that you can teach anyone in your orbit to build as well as you. And I'm going to cover some really simple ways of ensuring that in a minute. And I'm going to read this again. These are not my words, but the transition of your business model is significant because most service businesses today require custom proposals and custom work to be done with every single new client order. With a productized business, the process is templatized out in a way that streamlines the work, making it easier for you to delegate and grow. All right, end of the quote. And again, this is sort of cheesy. The same author wrote this: productizing ultimately is about allowing you to work on your business rather than in your business. That's a sort of marketing bullshitty trope from 2 decades ago that kind of annoys me, but nonetheless, call that true or not, it doesn't really matter. It allows you to build out your business rather than getting lost or wrapped around the axle of the little details that many of us find ourselves sort of struggling with each and every day. And those little details, by the way, are significant, like dealing with people who, you're selling a service to, who want you to modify this and modify that and change this and customize that. And essentially that becomes a time suck that can really impact both your income as well as your enthusiasm for your work. So when you templatize or productize your business in the way that I just covered, essentially what you're doing is you're adding these a la carte style entries that's or options, let's say. So if someone wants to do those things, there are additional costs that are like a menu built into the service that they can choose from, again giving it this very productized feel and not having you have to concede or make concessions to different things that people want that are just a pain in the ass and that you kind of didn't really factor into the original service, right? So again, if you're selling services in the world, you probably can identify with everything I'm saying here. And if you're not or haven't yet, you probably can't, but you will once you start, all right? So my words again, a X product to solve Y problem for X audience with secret sauce. That's a little heuristic that I create for my own. And again, those are not my words initially, but that's my own little take on that old axiom, right? So, solve a problem. This is a product to solve Y problem for this specific audience, this niche, this market, this vertical, this locality with secret sauce. So let's look at what that might look like for those of you who are listening to this who are using different software or web builders or whatever it may be. And I'm going to give you an example actually from 2018 that I had written out for our own service for authors. And it says Productize book launch landing page. And in parentheses, I wrote, it's a service creating a web page, but it's bundled as a product. Now, here's the secret sauce. We were using a service called Leaflets, which made really, and still does, make really, really great author landing pages for book launches. I love the Leaflets author pages for book launches. What I don't like about Leaflets is the guy who runs Leaflets now, he bought this from a guy named Jason Schuler who owned this a couple of years ago. The dude who now owns Leaflets doesn't respond to any of the emails that I send him, so I can't really recommend Leaflets anymore, but it's a great software as a service for selling author landing pages, right? So again, productized book launch landing pages. We're solving a problem for authors in this case with a very specific itemized service, but that's bundled as a product, right? With a very specific menu of what they're getting. There are bonus. So, the secret sauce is I'm not building this or coding this or designing it from scratch. I'm simply using a really beautiful software as a service web builder that allows me to modify these landing pages for each author at the click of a button. So changing colors, changing fonts, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Adding bonuses, really, really important when you're productizing your service. So I have written down here, pay me landing page as a bonus. This was a Stripe-enabled landing page, also powered by Leaflets, that would allow the same people were giving this book launch page to also have a Stripe-powered e-commerce page to accept payments from their clients. And in parentheses, I have written bonus. Still an irresistible offer that is productized and doesn't require us a lot or a ton of additional time. All right, all this can be done very, very quickly. The next line says newsletter configuration. MailChimp or ConvertKit bonus, right? This is another bonus that you're adding into this service offer to your clients, all right? And in this very productized, very templatized way. Next line that I have written here says, anyone can do it, in parentheses, doesn't need to be me, right? So this is my way of saying I can outsource this software that we're paying for to any virtual assistant or anyone on my side who can build these things for us, allowing me to scale this service without having just to be spinning my wheels and running on a treadmill, hamster wheel all day, servicing clients. All right, next line says offers massive value, but has a minimum price and time investment for us and them. So essentially what that means is I can use, or leaflets in this case, I don't use it anymore, but in 2018, we could use something like leaflets to design these landing pages for authors, for book launches in 20 to 30 minutes tops, and give them a ridiculously good deal while still charging $300 or $400 or $500 and doing something that only takes 30 minutes or less on our side, right? Takes advantage of my next line and my outline for our business, takes advantage of the what can you borrow to build, what can you leverage to launch, what gives you superpowers, what makes you a wizard approach and ethos. And you've probably heard me say this, but this is like a mantra that I try to really repeat to myself and to anyone who I'm working with to find tools, tech, software, services, products, and platforms that give you the appearance of superpowers, that gives you the ability to 10x your output, your impact, your audience, and ultimately your income on a bootstrap budget. You've probably heard me say that because it's true. Something like a software as a service web builder that you're using to deliver really high-end work to clients, but you don't have to code all this stuff yourself. I couldn't do that. I'm not a coder. I'm not a designer, but I can borrow a tool out there in the world that gives me those sorts of abilities and then package that as a service to authors who don't know that product or service exists, right? They're not aware in this case of something like leaflets back in 2018. Now, the truth is, again, the USP, unique selling proposition, product for X niche to solve Y problem, with the secret sauce is really the uniqueness of the offer that we're making here, right? The unique. So I would argue that card, for an example, if you're listening to this in 2022, is the same thing as something like leaflet. So you'll have heard me talk often about using something like card to sell services, and you can do the exact same thing that I just outlined in the above scenario with something like card. It gives you the ability of creating great looking landing pages for authors with a newsletter integration, with all that sort of stuff for a ridiculous cost. It costs you almost nothing. You can pass those savings on to your audience, give them bonuses, and productize the whole thing and do these, in a short afternoon. You could do 5, 7, 10 of these in a day if you're ambitious using card. So the same idea would be, the card would be, let's say, the land. And again, you're productizing this. So you're not pitching people on a service. You actually have a product that says you're going to get the following: 1, a card landing page; 2, a card landing page configured with a newsletter service of your choosing. So it's MailChimp, ConvertKit, Aweber, Review, etc. 3, if you wanted to do this, you could offer a back end newsletter marketing service, right? So if you wanted to expand this fundamental offer beyond the original, let's say card landing page plus newsletter equals X price, you could also just start to layer on irresistible back-end offers. Like you will actually do the newsletter using something like Review on a monthly basis yourself, right? So you can actually sell the same service as a newsletter service rather than a card landing page service, and you're simply using card as the landing page software. They don't need to know that. You're simply using your imagination to tie together all of these pieces of tech that work well by design in combination with each other, and you're offering this incredibly productized service that is really for you a breeze to to put together and work, right? So the last little bit of this that I'm going to read to you, and these are my own notes, and again, these are my notes from a few years ago, but they still apply equally as impactfully today. So minimize the magic of me, right? This is my note to me, which is build, in parentheses, build a business that's bigger than you, right? So I don't need to be magic. I don't need to be a magician. I don't need to be a wizard. I don't need to be the pitch master, the person who's selling, talking, yelling, persuading, cajoling, all those things. I can simply use a productized platform to sell a service that is bigger than me. I can just sit back on my sofa and watch Ozark for the next 3 years while eating ice cream while other people do this for me if I wanted. If I was built that way, I'm not. Right? Start small, think scale. Again, the same idea. You don't need to launch this with some ridiculous plan for world domination. Just start small, and then you're going to find organically, naturally, you're going to expand because people are going to appreciate the value of the offer. All right, number 3, again, these are notes to myself back a few years ago, 4 core offers. In parentheses, I have written down, come up with 4 offers and make them magic. How can you turn those 4 irresistible offers into a product that can be templatized and transcended? Not exactly sure what I meant there by transcended. I think I was probably knee deep in my meditation, process, or reading or studying or whatever. But how can you turn 4 irresistible offers into, I would say now, products that can be templatized, not into a product, but products that can be templatized and and productized, right? Templatized and productized. All right. Again, next line says, what makes you a wizard? What gives you superpowers? What can you borrow to build? What can you leverage to launch? Your superhero service can be packaged into a product that's modular, quantity sells, and you can modularize your methodology, your practices, your process, outline examples, illustrations, etc., all in the confines of and then I have no idea what the following word was supposed to be because there's not a word there. All right, but that is really, in general, captures the spirit of the whole thing, right? You are selling a service, but it's in a certain way non-negotiable. Like you're not like pitching people. You're saying, this is the service. This is what you're getting, when you're getting it, exactly what comes with it, et cetera, what it looks like. Here's how to buy it. And then you move on, right? And it's a great antidote to this idea that you have to be this sort of, outgoing kind of salesy, pitch person to sell services like this online. You don't. You simply need to templatize your skills in a way that allows people to buy them simply, quickly, and in a familiar way that doesn't feel intimidating to them or to you. And this is the exact approach for doing that. What I'm going to do, actually, if people want it in our community, is I will start to create workflows for specific products. So if you're using, let's say, WordPress, or you're using a card, or you're using some SEO tool, or you're using some audio tool or whatever, and you want really customized, sort of sequential steps for productizing your business, your products, your services, all you'll need to do is tell me what it is that the software does, or the tool does, or the tech does, and then I will put my thinking cap on and come up with ways that you can not only come up with irresistible offers, but that you can templatize the process of selling that service in a productized way, even if I don't know what the tool or tech actually does, because I'm sure people in my community are using things that I've never heard of and won't know what they do, but I can simply using this approach pretty much fill in the blanks and give you a sequence of steps that will work. All right, so I'll also share some of the ways that we're doing this right now with audio, and really with Answer the Public and tools like that we have this very, very customized offers for authors and artists and teachers and trainers and mindfulness professionals that I'm not really calling productized, but when I really look at the sort of the way that I think about this, they really are all these exemplars of productization in practice, in process. All right, so I'm happy to share some of those as well if you want them. If people don't want them in the community, then I'm not going to do this because I don't know, you have to ask for them if you want them is what I'm saying. I don't want to just create these without people really participating in the process. So if you're interested in that, join our community. If you're in our community, ask. You have to ask for help if you want it, and I'm happy to do these around whatever topics or tools or software or services that you are trying to incorporate into your own brand and business. Okie doke. Teach what you know, do what you love, wake up the world with your work. Thank you as always so much for watching or listening in this case. It's the 1st of February, and I'll probably do another one of these in the next week. Thanks so much and have a wonderful day.